I sit alone at a table near the back of the Oakmont Country Club, acutely aware of how my simple navy dress stands out among the designer labels and custom tailoring around me. Champagne flows freely as waiters in crisp white jackets weave through the crowd, their trays balanced effortlessly above the celebrating guests. This is David's big day, his graduation from business school with honors. My parents have spared no expense. Mom catches my eye across the room, her smile faltering for just a moment before she turns back to her friends. I adjust the collar of my dress, feeling the fabric catch on my calloused fingers, a stark contrast to the manicured hands raising crystal flutes throughout the room. The ice in my water glass clinks as I take a sip. I don't dare touch the champagne. Last time I had a glass at a family function, Dad commented that I couldn't even hold my liquor properly. So water it is. Dad steps to the center of the room, tapping his knife against his glass. The sharp ping cuts through conversation, and silence falls like a heavy curtain. This is the moment everyone's been waiting for. Richard Bennett's speech for his son, the golden child, the heir apparent to everything my father values. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed colleagues, and dear friends, Dad begins, his voice carrying that practiced resonance he uses in boardrooms to celebrate excellence. My stomach tightens. I've heard variations of this speech my entire life. Today we celebrate my son, David Richard Bennett, to our only true pride and joy. The words slam into me like a physical blow. I glance around to see if anyone notices, but all eyes are fixed on my father, nodding and smiling. This isn't new, I tell myself. This shouldn't hurt anymore. Dad continues, warming to his theme. You know, sometimes I think we should have stopped at one child. He delivers this with a wink, and laughter erupts around me. Actual roars of laughter. Mrs. Harrington, at the next table, wipes tears from her eyes. She's laughing so hard. I sit frozen, my smile a mask glued to my face. 23 years of practice makes it almost believable. I reach for my purse under the table, fingers brushing against the envelope inside my own achievement letter, tucked away where no one will notice or care. And now, Dad announces, gesturing grandly toward the large doors leading to the terrace. A small token of our pride in you, son. The doors swing open, and there it sits, a brand new German sports car, gleaming silver under the afternoon sun, an absurdly large red bow perched on its roof. Gasps and applause fill the room as David's face lights up with boyish glee. $70,000 of boyish glee. I'm suddenly 8 years old again, watching my parents cheer as David kicks his first soccer goal, while my perfect spelling test sits unacknowledged in my backpack. I'm 12, sitting alone with a store-bought cake on my birthday because everyone is at David's regional basketball tournament. I'm 16, and my birthday has been forgotten in the chaos of planning David's elaborate, carnival-themed celebration the following week. I'm 18, sitting in our kitchen as Dad explains that there simply isn't money for my college fund after investing so much in David's future. He's going to need it more than you, sweetheart. You're smart, you'll figure something out. I quietly excuse myself from the table as David begins his speech, thanking our parents for their unwavering support. No one notices me slip toward the exit except for Aunt Martha. Her weathered hand catches mine as I pass. I see you, dear, she whispers, her eyes holding mine with unexpected fierceness. I always have. I squeeze her hand in silent gratitude before continuing toward the door. Outside, the evening air cools my flushed face. I walk alone across the parking lot, my sensible shoes crunching on the gravel. The sounds of celebration drift through the open window, slaughter, clinking glasses. My mother's delighted squeal as David must be doing something charming. I stop in my Cara 10-year-old sedan I bought with my own money and catch my reflection in the window. My eyes are dry, my posture straight. But something else is there too. Something I haven't allowed myself to feel before. A quiet determination forming behind the pain. When I arrive home, the house is empty and silent. I head upstairs, but stop when I hear voices through the open window, Mom and Dad in the garden below. We should convert Jocelyn's room into a home office for David, Dad says. He'll need somewhere professional to work when he brings clients home. Perfect timing since she's rarely here anyway, Mom agrees, and it has the better view. I stand motionless in the hallway, the familiar weight of invisibility pressing down on me. But tonight, it doesn't bend my shoulders as it usually does. Tonight, it hardens something in my core. I move to my room and pull out my suitcase from under the bed. My hands no longer tremble as I begin to pack my most essential belongings. The acceptance letter from my Percy full scholarship to a university 3 states away goes last into my bag. A copy of the letter I place deliberately on the kitchen counter, where they'll find it after the celebration ends. After I'm gone, what would you do if your own family treated you as nothing more than an afterthought? Would you stay and endure, or find the courage to walk away? My decision will change everything, but not in the way anyone expected. The trunk of my car is half filled when headlights sweep across the driveway. Mom's silver Mercedes pulls in, followed by Dad's BMW. The graduation celebration must have finally wound down. I straighten my spine as car doors slam in unison. What drama is this now? Mom's voice cuts through the evening air as she approaches, her heels clicking on the concrete. She doesn't look at my packed belongings, just flicks her gaze over me with practiced dismissal. Dad doesn't even pretend interest. For God's sake, Jocelyn, can you go one day without making everything about you? This is David's special day. I continue loading a box of books into my trunk. I'm not making anything about me. I'm simply leaving. Leaving? Mom echoes as if I've spoken in a foreign language. David's car roars into the driveway, the new sports car purring like a satisfied cat. He steps out with exaggerated concern etched on his face. What's wrong, little sis? Jealous again? His smile doesn't reach his eyes. Something inside me shifts. Years of silence crack like ice in spring. No, David. Not jealous, just done. Done with what? Dad demands, impatience radiating from him in waves. Everything. My voice remains steady as I close the trunk. The forgotten birthdays, the ignored achievements, the broken promises. Mom waves her hand dismissively. You've always been so sensitive. David simply needed more attention. He had sports, social obligations. I had a 4.0 GPA for 7 consecutive years. I interrupt, no longer willing to be talked over. I was valedictorian. I won 3 state academic competitions. I volunteered 400 hours at the Children's Hospital. Each achievement falls between us like stones into still water. None of you attended a single award ceremony. Dad's jaw tightens. There's nothing about you to be proud of. Academic achievements are easy. David worked for his success. The words should hurt, but they merely confirm what I've always known. I pull the university letter from my jacket pocket. I received a full-ride scholarship worth $80,000. I earned it entirely on my own. I place the letter on the hood of my car. 3 pairs of eyes follow my movement. Silence stretching between us for the first time. Dad recovers first, his chest puffing slightly. Well, you get your brains from me. No. The word emerges quiet but firm. I succeeded despite you, not because of you. My phone buzzes with a text. Aunt Martha's name appears on the screen. Your room at my place is ready. Drive safe, dear one. Who's that? Mom asks, suddenly interested. Aunt Martha. I slip the phone back into my pocket. She's been more family to me than anyone in this house. Another text arrives from Kelly, who stayed up with me for 3 nights straight, helping me complete scholarship applications. We're all rooting for you. Remember what we practiced. You have people waiting for you? Mom's voice rises an octave. Yes, people who actually see me. I straighten my shoulders. Mrs. Chen from the library who drove me to college interviews when you were too busy with David's games. Mr. Peterson, my high school counselor, who was the only person to attend my academic awards ceremony. Kelly and Mark, who helped me apply for scholarships while you were planning David's graduation party. Dad's face reddens. Those people aren't family. They're my chosen family. I reply, the words feeling right. The difference is, they value me without obligation. They celebrate my achievements without resentment. They show up. Mr. Peterson's words from senior year echo in my memory. You're going places, Jocelyn, with or without them. At the time, I desperately hoped it would be with them. Now I understand the freedom in without. This is ridiculous, David cuts in. You've always had a roof over your head, food on the table. That's called basic parenting, David. The minimum legal requirement. Dad steps toward me, his business negotiation face sliding into place. Now, Jocelyn, let's be reasonable. We're family. Family sees each other. My counselor once told me, you're going places with or without them. I finally understand he meant without you. If you'd tried harder like me, they would have cared, David interjects, his tone dripping with condescension. You just didn't make the effort. The familiar pain of his words doesn't sting as it once did. I stopped trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Mom's perfectly manicured hand reaches for my arm. What will people think if you just leave? Consider our reputation. I gently remove her fingers. I release you from any obligation to me. The words feel like setting down a heavy weight I've carried too long. You no longer need to pretend I exist at family functions. You can convert my room to David's home office without guilt. The shock on her face confirms she heard our earlier conversation through the garden window. Be reasonable, David says, stepping between me and my car door. You're overreacting. Come back inside, and we'll talk about this tomorrow. I reach into my wallet and remove the family photo I've carried since high school. I place it in David's hand, the one connection I voluntarily sever. There's nothing to discuss. You can't leave. Dad's voice rises, control slipping. Where will you go? How will you manage? You need us. No. I say simply, I don't. I slide into the driver's seat and start the engine. Through the windshield, I watch my family standing in the driveway, Mom clutching her pearls. Dad's face flushed with anger. David looking confused that his charm failed to work. They're still standing there, frozen like statues in the growing darkness, as I drive away. The rearview mirror shows their diminishing figures, and for the first time in 23 years, I don't look back with longing. My hands steady on the steering wheel, I drive toward Aunt Martha's house on the other side of town, toward people who see me, toward a future that for once belongs entirely to me. Have you ever had to walk away from toxic family relationships to save yourself? What gave you the strength to finally leave? Share your story in the comments below. The single-paned window of my apartment whistles with each gust of November wind. My breath fogs the glass as I press my forehead against it, watching students hurry across campus bundled in scarves and coats. 3 months since I walked away from everything familiar. 3 months of building something from nothing. My efficiency apartment sits 5 blocks from campus, the cheapest I could find that didn't have visible mold. The landlord called it cozy. That's a generous word for 380 square feet, with a kitchenette where the refrigerator door can't fully open because it hits the stove. I turn from the window and survey my kingdom. A mattress on the floor, a lamp without a shade. And my pride and joy, a solid oak desk I rescued from the thrift store on Milton Street. The woman there helped me load it into a borrowed truck, patting my hand when I explained it was for studying. You're going places, honey, she'd said. The desk dominates the small room, but I don't care. I've arranged my textbooks in neat stacks, my laptop precisely centered. This is mission control. This is where I'll build my future. Word by careful word. My phone alarm chirps. 4:30 a.m. Time for my first job. 1 caramel macchiato, extra shot, light foam. I call out, sliding the cup across the counter. The morning rush at Beans and Books hits like a tidal wave, students desperate for caffeine before 8 a.m. classes, professors grabbing fuel for office hours, commuters stopping en route to corporate jobs downtown. I've learned to read people by their orders. The triple shot guys who never look up from their phones. The lavender latte ladies who always have a kind word. My fingers cramp from 8 hours of steaming milk and pulling espresso shots. But every tip that lands in the jar is one more textbook I can afford. One more utility bill covered. One more piece of evidence that I don't need my parents' money. My afternoon shift at the university library starts in 30 minutes. Just enough time to change my coffee-splattered shirt in the employee bathroom and grab a protein bar from my backpack. The library's quiet hum wraps around me like a blanket as I shelve returns. Between reshelving books and helping lost freshmen navigate the card catalog system, I sneak moments to study my own materials, highlighting passages one-handed while checking student IDs with the other. Saturday and Sunday mornings, I tutor struggling students in psychology 101 and statistics, 3 jobs, 7 days a week. This is what independence costs. When my first entirely self-earned paycheck arrived, I sat cross-legged on my mattress and cried, tracing my name on the envelope. Not a handout, not an allowance with strings attached. Mine. Thanksgiving arrives like a thief, stealing the students from campus and leaving empty corridors and silent dining halls. I haven't heard a word from my parents. Not that I expected to. I heat a microwave turkey dinner on the plastic plate that came with it. The cranberry sauce bleeds into the stuffing, creating an unappetizing pink smear. Steam fogs my one window as rain patters against the glass. I eat standing up, watching droplets race down the window pane, betting on which one will reach the bottom first. When I finish, I wash the plastic fork carefully. It's one of 3 I own. The silence of the apartment presses in. I turn on my laptop, opening a document to work on my research paper. Words blur before my eyes. For one weak moment, I imagine the scene at home, the formal dining room table extended to its full length, Mom's good china gleaming under the chandelier light, Dad carving the turkey with surgical precision, while David tells some amusing anecdote from work. They've probably placed my chair in storage. I close the laptop and curl under my blanket, fully clothed, counting breaths until sleep comes. The Christmas card arrives the week before finals, addressed to occupant, with my apartment number scrawled as an afterthought. Inside, a family photo. Mom, Dad, and David standing before the fireplace, color coordinated in red and green. No empty space where I should be. No acknowledgement of absence. I pin it to my corkboard as a reminder. That night, walking across the campus quad, I pass a father hugging his daughter goodbye after visiting for the weekend. Her face glows with the uncomplicated happiness of someone who has never questioned her place in her family's heart. I make it back to my apartment before the sobs come, great heaving waves that bend me double. I press my fist against my mouth to hold them in. These walls are thin, and my neighbors don't need to hear my breakdown. Later that night, my thumb hovers over my parents' number in my phone. One call, one moment of weakness. I imagine Mom's voice distracted, always slightly impatient. Dad's perfunctory greeting, waiting for me to explain why I'm bothering him. I delete their number and toss the phone onto my mattress. Miss Bennett, do you have a moment after class? Professor Whitaker peers at me over her reading glasses. She's formidable steel gray hair, pulled into a tight bun, posture like she's balancing a book on her head. Her developmental psychology course is the most challenging of my freshman year, and her approval is as rare as winter sunshine. Your research proposal shows unusual insight, she says once the classroom empties. Your analysis of attachment theory as it relates to adult sibling relationships is graduate-level work. I stand straighter, warmth spreading through my chest. I'd like you to consider expanding it for the department symposium in spring. She continues. With my guidance, of course. I have a research assistant position opening next semester. Paid. A 4th job. A mentor. Recognition for my work, not my family name. I would be honored, I managed to say. My hands tremble as I stand at the podium. The symposium audience faculty, graduate students, visiting scholars watches expectantly. 3 rows back, Professor Whitaker gives me an encouraging nod. The impact of early attachment disruption on adult achievement patterns. I begin, my voice steadier than I feel. 20 minutes later, the applause washes over me like a cleansing rain. Questions follow, thoughtful and challenging. I answer each one, my confidence growing with every exchange. This is my element. These are my people, those who value ideas, evidence, effort. Walking back to my apartment that evening, I realize something profound has shifted. For the first time since leaving home, I feel fully present in my own life, not defined by what or who is missing. Aunt Martha's care packages arrive every Wednesday. Homemade cookies wrapped in wax paper. Tea bags from her favorite specialty shop. Small practical gifts, a thermal mug. Warm socks. A gift card for the campus bookstore. Each one contains a handwritten letter that never asks when I'll reconcile with my parents, but tells me she's proud of me. My study group meets Tuesdays and Thursdays in the library. Zoe, whose laugh carries across quiet study spaces. Miguel, who brings homemade empanadas his abuela sends. Taisha, whose incisive questions cut through academic jargon like a knife. We started as classmates. We've become something more. You're coming for Easter, and I won't hear otherwise. Mrs. Abernathy announces one Sunday, setting a second helping of pot roast on my plate. My elderly neighbor invited me for dinner after helping her carry groceries up 3 flights of stairs. Now it's our weekly tradition. Her apartment smells of potpourri and baking bread. Her walls lined with photos of grandchildren who rarely visit. You remind me of myself at your age, she tells me often. Backbone of steel. The letter arrives on a bright spring day. Dear Miss Bennett, it reads, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as this year's recipient of the Anderson Fellowship for Exceptional Audit Research. Professor Whitaker finds me in the lab, clutching the letter, unable to speak. I nominated you, she says simply. Your work deserves recognition. You're going to change lives with Jocelyn. The university paper runs a small article. Rising academic star earns prestigious fellowship. There's a photo of me accepting the certificate, Professor Whitaker beaming beside me. I mail a copy to Aunt Martha. Speech! Speech! Miguel calls out, raising his plastic cup of sparkling cider. My study group has transformed my sparse apartment with streamers and a hand-painted banner. Congrats, magna cum laude. Taisha has baked a chocolate cake, decorated with what appears to be chemical formulas in icing. Zoe presents me with a gift wrapped in Sunday Comics, a leather-bound journal, embossed with my initials. For your brilliant thoughts, she explains. Mrs. Abernathy dabs her eyes with a handkerchief. I told you, backbone of steel. I look around at these people who became my chosen family. At the apartment that became home. At the life I built from nothing but determination and grace. What would you sacrifice to build a life of dignity and purpose? I gave up my family ties but gained something far more valuable. Was it worth it? Standing here, surrounded by genuine celebration, the answer seems obvious. The next chapter waits, with unexpected twists that will test everything I've built. But tonight, I savor this moment of triumph, earned entirely on my own terms. I straighten the row of framed certificates on my office wall, adjusting the doctoral diploma until it sits perfectly level. 5 years of building something from nothing, degrees, awards, published papers all displayed in simple black frames that stand in stark contrast to the rich mahogany of my office walls. Outside my window, autumn paints the university quad in brilliant reds and golds. Students meander between classes, their laughter drifting upward. I'm scheduled to meet with a promising graduate student in 15 minutes to discuss her research proposal. Dr. Bennett? My assistant Sarah peeks her head in. Your 3 o'clock canceled. Said she'd email to reschedule. Thanks. I smile, grateful for the unexpected break. I'll use the time to finish reviewing those grant applications. Sarah hesitates. Also, your mother called. Again. 3rd time this week. My hand freezes over the stack of papers. 3 years of silence, and suddenly, my phone won't stop ringing. Did she leave another message? Sarah nods, her expression carefully neutral. She said it's urgent. Your father apparently called too, but that was while I was at lunch. I thank her and wait until the door clicks shut before reaching for my phone. 4 missed calls, 2 voicemails. With reluctant fingers, I tap to play the first message. Jocelyn. It's Mom. Her voice sounds thinner than I remember. Please call us back. It's important. Delete. The second. Jocelyn. My father's voice, stripped of its usual commanding tone. Something about it makes my stomach tighten. We need to talk to you. It's a pause. Just call us. Please. Please? From Richard Bennett? And not a single mention of David. I set the phone down and turned toward the window, watching a leaf spiral downward until it lands on the manicured lawn below. The silence about David speaks volumes. When I check my email later that afternoon, there it is, the third attempt this week, with a subject line in all caps. Family emergency, please respond. I close my laptop without opening it and head to my standing appointment with Dr. Winters, the therapist who has guided me through rebuilding my life. They're persistent, I tell her after explaining the barrage of contact attempts. But they haven't said what it's about, just that it's urgent. Dr. Winters considers this, her silver hair catching the light. What are you thinking about doing? Part of me wants to maintain the silence. They didn't care when I needed them. I inhale slowly. But I keep thinking about what you said about curiosity without obligation. Responding doesn't mean you owe them anything, she reminds me. You can set boundaries. That evening, I draft a measured email. I understand you've been trying to reach me. Before we speak, I need to know what this is regarding. I am willing to schedule a short video call once you provide specific details. This is not a commitment to anything beyond that conversation. I wait 3 hours before hitting send. Enough time to be certain. Their response arrives by morning. David is in trouble. We need your help. Please call us tomorrow at 7 p.m. The scheduled time arrives with military precision. I sit at my home office desk, spine straight, professional blouse buttoned to the collar. Their faces appear on screen, my mother's hair, now completely gray, my father's jowls more pronounced. They look smaller somehow. Jocelyn, you look. My mother searches for words. Professional. Thank you for agreeing to speak with us, my father says, the words clearly familiar in his mouth. I steer past their attempts at small talk. You mentioned David is in trouble. What's happening? They exchange glances. My mother's hands twist in her lap. David has been struggling, she begins carefully. He's developed some dependencies. Drugs. My father clarifies bluntly. Started with prescription painkillers after a skiing accident. Progressed to harder stuff. He's lost his job. His fiancée left him last month. I'm sorry to hear that, I say. Meaning it despite everything. Is he in treatment? That's part of why we're calling. My mother leans forward. The neighbors are starting to talk. The Hendersons saw him. Her voice drops to a whisper. Being escorted from the country club, it was humiliating. Of course. Not concerned for David's health, but for their reputation. We need you to come home, my father says, not quite meeting my eyes. You are always the responsible one. You can help fix this. Fix this. I repeat, testing the weight of those words. He's drained his trust fund. My father continues. We've had to cover his debts. We're not equipped to handle this sort of situation. The irony doesn't escape me. After years of being the family afterthought, suddenly I'm essential. The child they dismissed is now their only hope. You always knew what to do in a crisis, my mother adds, her eyes pleading. You always cleaned up the messes. The responsible one, I echo, the old label settling on my shoulders like a familiar weight I'd long since discarded. Interesting that you remember that part now. My father shifts uncomfortably. Jocelyn, we understand you've been away. But family is family. A laugh nearly escapes me. Family. As if the word alone should erase everything. David needs structure. My mother continues. Discipline. That's always been your strength. I watch them carefully. These people who share my DNA but barely know me. The parents who once couldn't be bothered to attend my honors ceremony now look at me like I'm their salvation. The irony burns in my chest, mingles with an old, familiar ache I thought I'd outgrown. Part of me, a wounded child who still lives somewhere deep inside, wants to savor this moment of vindication. See, I was worth something after all. Another part wants to end the call immediately. Protect the life I've built with such painful care. But there's a third voice too. The psychologist who understands family systems, and the therapist who's worked through her own trauma. That voice whispers about cycles of pain, about David as both perpetrator and victim of our parents' warped priorities. Let me be clear. I say, my professional tone firmly in place while turmoil rages beneath. I have a career, responsibilities, and a life that I've built entirely without your support. I'm not simply going to abandon all that because you've suddenly decided I'm useful. My mother flinches. My father's jaw tightens. That said, I continue, surprising even myself. I'll consider what kind of help I might be able to offer. From a distance, with clear boundaries, the relief on their faces is almost pathetic. They don't understand yet that the daughter they're reaching for no longer exists. The woman I've become isn't desperate for their approval. She doesn't clean up messes to earn love that should have been freely given. I'll need to think about this further. I say finally, my voice steady despite the storm inside. I'll contact you next week with my decision. As I end the call, their anxious faces disappear from my screen. I sit motionless, listening to my own breathing in the quiet room. What they're really asking hangs in the air, unspoken but unmistakable. Come save the son we always chose over you. The tables have turned so completely it's almost dizzying. The golden child has fallen. The afterthought has become essential. And I'm left to decide whether I'm strong enough to help without losing myself in the process. I sit in my office chair, spine straight, fingers hovering over the keyboard. The familiar weight of academic books on the shelves behind me grounds me as I prepare for this call. On my computer screen, the video conference window shows my reflection professional blouse, subtle makeup, hair neatly styled. Nothing like the awkward, invisible girl who fled home 5 years ago. You don't owe them anything, Dr. Winters, my therapist had reminded me yesterday. Remember your boundaries. I take a deep breath and click connect. The screen flickers, and there he is. David's face appears, hollow-cheeked and sallow. His once confident jawline now slack, obscured by patchy stubble. Dark circles underline bloodshot eyes. This stranger wearing my brother's face stares back at me, his hand trembling slightly as he adjusts the camera. "Jocelyn," he says, his voice scratchy. "You look good." Before I can respond, movement behind him draws my attention. Mother appears, her carefully maintained appearance now showing cracks a shade too brassy, makeup slightly overdone, as if compensating for something. "Jocelyn, thank goodness," she gushes, leaning into frame. "We've been beside ourselves with worry about your brother." Father crowds in next, his imposing frame diminished somehow, but his eyes still calculating. "The Hendersons asked about you at church," he says instead of hello. "I told them you were doing important research abroad. Couldn't exactly tell them the truth, could we?" I feel my jaw tighten. I agreed to speak with David, not to a family intervention. "Now, sweetheart," Mother begins in that tone that always preceded manipulation. "We're all just trying to help David through this rough patch. The neighbors are starting to talk." "The neighbors," I repeat, my voice flat. "That's your concern right now?" "Well, if you'd been here," Father starts, his voice rising. "Maybe your brother wouldn't have." "I need to talk to Jocelyn alone." David's voice cuts through, surprising us all with its sudden clarity. My parents exchange glances loaded with unspoken meaning. "That's not necessary," Mother says. "We're family, we have no secrets." David looks up, something hardening in his face, a flash of the golden boy assertiveness. "Please, just give me 10 minutes. After more protests and significant looks, they reluctantly leave. The quiet that follows feels like the pause between lightning and thunder. I wait, letting the silence do its work. 5 years of academic research has taught me the power of patient observation. "They're gone," David confirms, glancing over his shoulder. He turns back, eyes suddenly welling with tears. "God, Jocelyn, I never wanted any of..." I wasn't prepared for this. Anger, excuses, even arrogance, those I had strategies for. But this naked vulnerability catches me off guard. Any of what exactly? I ask carefully. This life they planned for me. His voice breaks. The prestigious career, the country club membership, the perfect wife from the right family. He runs shaking hands through his unwashed hair. I just wanted to make music, remember? Before Dad convinced me it was a hobby, not a future. I do remember. David at 16, composing songs in his room late at night. Before the business school applications Father filled out for him. So you turned to drugs instead? The words come out sharper than intended. Pills first, he admits, not meeting my eyes. After a panic attack during final exams. Then more to handle the pressure at the firm. Then, he gestures vaguely at himself. This. He looks up suddenly, eyes clear despite their redness. They made you the scapegoat and me the golden child. But we both lost, Jocelyn. Neither of us ever had a chance to be ourselves. The words hit me with physical force. All these years, I'd pictured David reveling in his favored status while I suffered in silence. I never considered he might be suffering too, just in a different cage. You never stood up for me, I say, my voice steady despite the storm inside. All those years, David. All those birthdays and achievements. You watched them erase me. I know. He doesn't try to defend himself. I was too weak. Too afraid of losing their approval. By the time I realized what was happening, the pattern was set. He wipes his eyes with his sleeve. I'm sorry, Jocelyn, not that it matters now. But it does matter. Something shifts inside men at forgiveness exactly. The recognition. I see him clearly for perhaps the first time, not as the golden child or the fallen favorite, but as another casualty of our parents' toxic love. We were both victims in different ways, I say softly. Two sides of the same dysfunctional coin. David nods, relief washing over his features. They're talking about sending me to some spa in Arizona, where celebrities go to rest. They're more worried about keeping this quiet than getting me actual help. That's not happening, I say firmly. If I'm involved, you'll get real treatment. Professional rehabilitation with addiction specialists and therapy. No family cover-ups. They won't like that. I'm not doing this for them. My voice is steady now, certain. And I won't be moving back home or handling this quietly. Those are my terms. What about us? He asks. Vulnerability naked on his face. You and me? I consider this carefully. The hurt child in me wants to punish him for his complicity. The psychologist in me recognizes the complexity of family dynamics. The woman I've become knows that healing doesn't require forgetting. I'll help you find yourself, David, I finally say. Not become their version of you. That's the only relationship I'm interested in building. For the first time in our adult lives, I see something like genuine hope in my brother's eyes. Not the manufactured confidence of the golden child, but something more fragile and real. I'd like that, he whispers as footsteps approach behind him. Our time is up. As my parents re-enter the frame, already talking over each other with plans and excuses, I watch David's face. Something has shifted between USA first tentative bridge across years of manufactured division. I don't know if healing is possible after such deep betrayal. But as I set out my terms to my stunned parents, I realize that compassion doesn't require sacrificing myself again. This time, if I walk back into their lives, it will be standing tall, with boundaries firm and eyes wide open. I stand ramrod straight in the morning sunlight as David signs the intake papers at Riverside Recovery Center. The facility's red brick exterior and professionally landscaped grounds look nothing like the sterile institutions I'd feared. My professional connections ensured he'd receive proper treatment, not the quick fix our parents wanted. We could handle this at home, Dad mutters beside me, his voice pitched low enough that the intake coordinator can't hear. The Bennett name's still something in this town. I turn to face him directly, no longer the shadow in the corner of family photographs. This isn't about the Bennett name, it's about David's life. Mom wrings her designer scarf between manicured fingers. What will people think? That's exactly the thinking that got us here, I reply, my voice steady. 5 years of building my own life has washed away the desperate need for their approval. 3 weeks later, I sit across from our family therapist, Dr. Winters, in a session I scheduled around my teaching commitments. Jocelyn never had problems growing up. Mom insists, rewriting history with breathtaking confidence. David was the one who needed extra attention. That's not accurate, I counter, no longer swallowing uncomfortable truths. I learned to hide my needs because they were consistently ignored. After the third session, Mom catches me in the parking lot. Her eyes, so like mine, show unfamiliar uncertainty. I didn't see it, she says, her voice catching. I didn't see you. It's not a complete apology, but it's the first genuine acknowledgement I've ever received from her. Dad continues his struggle. During family sessions, he sits with arms crossed, occasionally offering grudging participation. Old patterns die hard, especially for those who benefited from them. David, however, transforms. Each week reveals more of the person beneath the golden child facade. During our private visits, he speaks of finding his own path after discharge. I never wanted the corporate career, he confesses one afternoon. That was all Dad. The day David completes the program, there's a small gathering in the center's community room, no champagne. No speeches about family legacies. Just coffee, store-bought cookies, and genuine smiles. He approaches me with a wrapped package. Inside is a framed copy of my first published paper on family trauma and resilience. I read it, he says, unexpected pride in his voice. I understand now. Our parents stand awkwardly nearby, attempting conversation without their usual condescension. 5 years later, David and I sit on a park bench near the university, where I now chair the psychology department. The scholarship fund I established for students from challenging family backgrounds has just accepted its 20th recipient. David, now a certified addiction counselor, checks his watch. My next group starts in an hour, he says, the contentment in his voice a world away from the hollow man who entered rehab. My memoir about family dynamics sits on bestseller lists and has become required reading in psychology courses nationwide. Not for fame, but for the ripple effect of truth-telling. A young woman approaches, clutching my book to her chest. Professor Bennett, your memoir helped me find courage to set boundaries with my own family. I just wanted to thank you. David smiles proudly as she walks away. Between us lies the comfortable silence of two people who've rewritten their story together. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do is walk away, I say, watching students cross the quad. And sometimes the bravest thing is to return, but always on our own terms. What does true family mean to you? Is it blood connection, or people who respect and value you? Jocelyn discovered it was possible to redefine family on her own terms. I stand frozen at the elegant dining table, my fingers clenched around the stem of a crystal wine glass. The chandelier above casts a warm glow that highlights Margot's perfect smile as she places the salad before me with unusual ceremony. Around us, the Chesterfield family's Chicago estate pretends to be welcoming with its mahogany panels and plush velvet chairs. But I've learned to recognize the coldness beneath its polished surface. A special Italian salad, just for you, dear Brooke, Margot announces, her voice theatrical enough to draw the attention of all 10 dinner guests in their formal attire. I force a smile while my stomach twists. Something's not right. The vinaigrette glistens under the light, but beneath the tangy scent lurks something chemical, something that doesn't belong. The hairs on my arms rise. Thank you, Margot. It looks lovely. My voice stays steady, even as my mind races back to the kitchen doorway, where I'd glimpsed Margot tipping something from an unlabeled dark bottle into what I now realize was my dressing-only mine. Tyler squeezes my hand under the table. Try it, honey. Mom's been talking about this recipe all week. My husband's eyes hold nothing but innocent encouragement. 4 years of marriage, and he still can't see through his mother's performance. My hand moves instinctively to my stomach, a gesture I've been careful to hide. 3 months along, our little secret. A secret that would destroy Margot's carefully constructed world where I remain the barren disappointment unworthy of her perfect son. It does look amazing, Lauren, Tyler's sister comments from across the table. Though Brooke, I'm shocked Mom made you the guinea pig instead of me. The universe hands me a solution. I laugh, looking directly at Margot. Actually, Lauren, you should try it first, I insist. I reach for my water glass, accidentally but very deliberately knocking my napkin to the floor. Oh, how clumsy of me. While everyone's attention shifts, I execute the switch my plate for Lauren's with the deftness of someone who's learned to navigate this household's dangerous currents. Lauren murmurs after her first bite. Unique flavor. What's in this, Mother? Family secret, Margot responds, her eyes never leaving my untouched plate. The conversation flows around us, but I notice the progression of changes in Lauren's face. First, a flush across her cheeks, then beads of perspiration along her hairline. Her hands begin to tremble slightly as she reaches for her water glass. Margot's eyes narrow with suspicion when she realizes I haven't touched my food. Something sharp and calculating flashes across her features before disappearing behind her practiced smile. Brooke, aren't you hungry, dear? Her voice carries a warning. Before I can answer, Lauren pushes back from the table. Excuse me, she mumbles, her voice suddenly thick. She stands unsteadily, one hand clutching the tablecloth. Lauren? Tyler rises, concern etched across his face. She doesn't make it to the door. The violent retching echoes from the hallway bathroom, setting the dinner party into motion. Everyone except Margot, who remains seated, watching studying with an expression that sends ice through my veins. While Tyler rushes to his sister, I move with purpose. The linen napkin becomes a wrapper for a portion of the poisoned salad. Lauren's fork and knife slip into my purse when no one's looking. I carefully preserve her wineglass with its telltale lipstick mark. Across the chaos, Rosa, the housekeeper, catches my eye. The slight nod tells me she knows. She's seen. My mind flashes through a slideshow of warning signs I've tried to dismiss. Margot's frigid smile at our wedding 4 years ago. The accidental broken glass that sliced my palm at last Christmas's dinner. Her constant reminders about my apparent inability to give Tyler children. I should take her to the emergency room, I announce, already gathering my purse and car keys. Don't be ridiculous, Margot counters sharply. She'll be fine. Probably just food sensitivity. I glance at Gregory, Margot's husband. His eyes are downcast, fixed on his untouched wine. Knowledge he refuses to share weighing down his shoulders. Tyler stands in the bathroom doorway, torn between his mother's dismissal and the sound of his sister's continued retching. She needs medical attention now. My voice leaves no room for discussion. The steel in my tone surprises even me. Tyler nods, finally choosing a side. I'll help you get her to the car. As we guide a trembling Lauren toward the door, I feel Margot's gaze burning into my back. The game has changed tonight. She tried to poison my child and caught her own daughter in the crossfire instead. This isn't over. But neither is she dealing with the meek daughter-in-law she thought I was. Have you ever trusted your instincts when something felt dangerously wrong? What would you have done with that poisoned plate? Because my split-second decision is about to change everything. The emergency room's fluorescent lights wash all color from Lauren's skin. She looks like porcelain against the starched white hospital sheets, her body occasionally seized by another round of retching. I stand in the corner, clutching my purse with its damning evidence while a doctor speaks in hushed tones with a nurse. These symptoms aren't consistent with food allergies, the doctor says, frowning at Lauren's chart. The rapid onset, severity. This is something else. I approach when the nurse steps away. Doctor, could I speak with you privately? In the hallway, I keep my voice steady despite the hammering in my chest. I believe my sister-in-law was poisoned tonight. I've brought a sample of what she ate. I withdraw the napkin-wrapped salad. Would it be possible to run toxicology tests? On this and on Lauren? His eyes sharpen. That's a serious accusation. I know what I saw. My phone vibrates again, the eighth text from Tyler in 30 minutes. Each message grows more demanding, more confused. Where are you? Why aren't you answering? Mom says you're overreacting. The doctor studies my face before nodding. I'll order comprehensive toxicology. This looks like poisoning, not contamination. Deliberate. The word hangs between us like a verdict. I need documentation of everything. I tell the attending physician 3 hours later. While Lauren sleeps fitfully down the hall, I make my request precise and unmistakable. Written preliminary findings, all test results, chain of custody for the samples. The young doctor looks uncomfortable, but doesn't refuse. There are protocols for suspected poisonings. Follow every one of them. As he leaves, an older nurse with silver-streaked hair touches my arm. Here. She slips me a clear evidence bag. I've seen cases like this before. Trust your instincts. In the small hospital chapel, I spread out a notebook on the wooden pew. My legal training takes over as I document everything with mechanical precision. Times, observations, exact words spoken. My hand doesn't shake until I write down what I've avoided thinking directly. Target was likely me, not Lauren. Motive unknown. Suspect, Margot Chesterfield. The chapel door creaks open. Lauren stands there, her hospital gown making her look younger than her 26 years. Her eyes are red-rimmed, but clear. My mother did this, didn't she? Her voice is sandpaper rough. I don't answer immediately, weighing truth against family loyalty. Lauren lowers herself to the pew beside me. My mother has always been difficult. But this? She wraps her arms around herself. Was I even the target? My silence answers for me. The hospital parking lot at 2 a.m. is nearly empty. Rosa's ancient Corolla sits under a flickering light, the housekeeper herself a shadow behind the wheel. I slide into the passenger seat, the vinyl cold against my legs. She made your salad separately, Rosa says without preamble. Used a bottle I've never seen before. Dark glass, no label. You're sure? Rosa's hands twist around the steering wheel. I need this job, Mrs. Brooke, but what she did, it's not right. She passes me a small envelope. Inside are 3 photographs taken on a phone. Margot in the garden at dawn. Margot at her desk researching something on her computer. Margot handling an unlabeled bottle in the kitchen. Samuel, the night security guard, he saw her collecting plants before sunrise yesterday. Strange plants from the back corner of the garden where Mr. Gregory never goes. Later, as Lauren's boyfriend Aaron arrives breathless with worry, he pulls me aside. I always wondered why Margot treated you differently. Like you were. And temporary. What do you mean? His eyes dart toward Lauren's room. She told Lauren once that you weren't Chesterfield material. Said Tyler would eventually come to his senses. The crumpled papers Rosa brings from Margot's office trash tell a story more calculated than I imagined. Legal documents outlining changes to the family trust, with language specifically crafted to exclude marriages of less than 5 years' duration. Our 4th anniversary was last month. A handwritten note in Margot's elegant script chills me further. Ensuring the bloodline remains pure requires difficult choices. The board will understand our position. The browser history Rosa accessed from Margot's unlocked computer completes the picture. Searches for untraceable household toxins, plant-based poisons, symptoms of scopolamine poisoning. But it's the photo album Rosa found hidden in Margot's closet that breaks something open inside me. Pictures of young women, all with careful notations. Dates, names crossed out. There was another secretary before me, Rosa whispers. She dated Mr. Gregory's brother, had a nervous breakdown after dinner at the house. In the quiet dawn hours, I stand by the window in Lauren's hospital room. My hand rests on my still, flat stomach, my whisper meant only for the life growing inside me. I'll protect you, always. When my phone rings, Tyler's voice comes through tight with confusion. Brooke, what's happening? Mom says Lauren has always had strange reactions to food. Does she? I cut him off. Think carefully, Tyler. Has Lauren ever had food allergies before? His hesitation is answer enough. While he's still processing, I click to my email. Rosa has sent screenshots of documents Margot was drafting. Preparations to challenge my position in the family completely. To legally isolate me. A terrible clarity washes over me. She'll try again, I murmur after hanging up. Next time will be worse. You can't go back there, I tell Lauren as she prepares for discharge. Stay with Aaron. She nods, no hesitation. I believe you, Brooke. With the last of my personal savings, I hire a private detective. Focus on the garden first, I instruct him. Document every plant. 2 days later, he delivers photographs of a garden section hidden behind tall ornamental grasses. Plants I recognize from my law firm's pharmaceutical cases. Foxglove, belladonna, lily of the valley. All carefully tended. When I show Tyler the hospital, records Lauren's blood work alongside photos of Margot's garden, something shifts in his eyes. A doubt planted like a seed. This can't be right, he says, but his voice wavers. While he processes this new reality, I make a call to a number Rosa found in Margot's old address book. A woman answers, her voice immediately tense when I mention the Chesterfield name. I was engaged to Gregory's brother 30 years ago, she says quietly, until Margot invited me to dinner. I meet her gaze through the video call this stranger who shares my experience across decades. Tell me everything, I say. Brooke, you've lost weight. You must eat something. Margot places a platter of roasted vegetables in front of me, her voice dripping with concern that doesn't reach her eyes. A woman needs her strength. 2 weeks after Lauren's hospitalization, we're back at the dining table. The chandelier still glows warm, the mahogany panels still gleam, but everything has changed. I feel the weight of the audio recorder hidden beneath my napkin, pressing against my thigh. Thank you, Margot. I select a sealed bottled water from my purse, twisting the cap with a satisfying crack. I brought my own drink. Doctor's orders staying hydrated is key. Tyler shifts beside me, his shoulders tense beneath his tailored shirt. The space between us husband and wife, son and mother has become a battlefield with invisible trenches. Family loyalty is everything, isn't it? Margot says, passing the bread basket to Gregory. Without loyalty, what are we? Safe. I almost say but bite my tongue. Instead, I smile. You're absolutely right about loyalty, Margot. It's the foundation of trust. Gregory catches my eye across the table and subtly shakes his head when Margot offers me tea from a silver pot. That small gesture, the first time he's ever warned, sends ice through my veins. I accept only the factory-sealed crackers, leaving my plate otherwise empty. Tell me about your garden, Margot. Rosa mentioned you've become quite the herbalist. The recorder captures her laugh, brittle as thin ice. Some bodies simply react to unfamiliar ingredients. Lauren always was sensitive. Speaking of reactions, I press, letting vulnerability seep into my voice. I've been feeling so anxious lately. Almost paranoid. Do you ever feel that way, Margot? Her guard lowers a fraction, predator sensing weakness. Poor dear. Perhaps you need rest. Or medication. Perfect. The recorder catches every word. She put something in my coffee during our engagement dinner. Martha Williams sits across from me at a quiet coffee shop 20 miles from the Chesterfield estate. At 67, her hand still trembles slightly when she describes that night 30 years ago. I was hospitalized for weeks. When I tried to tell Gregory, the case mysteriously disappeared. Records gone. I slide the hospital photo of Lauren across the table. This was 2 weeks ago, his daughter. Martha's eyes widen. She's escalating. In my day, Margot was calculating, but this, she taps Lauren's photo with a manicured finger. This is bolder. Why didn't anyone stop her? Money buys silence. Gregory had choices: stand against his family's money, or stand with me. Her smile holds decades of resignation. Look what she's done to him. He's a prisoner in tailored suits. I thank Martha and leave with another piece of the puzzle. Margot eliminates anyone threatening her control of the Chesterfield legacy. Rosa slips me the master key when I arrive early, before the family returns from their charity luncheon. 30 minutes. Security cameras loop every half hour. She nods toward the stairs. The safe is behind the painting in her sitting room. Combination is Mr. Gregory's birthday. Lauren's boyfriend James, a second-year law student, waits in my car, ready with legal advice should anyone return early. The toxicologist called, he says, scrolling through messages on his phone. Found traces of something unusual. Wants to run more tests. In Margot's sitting room, I move quickly. The painting and austere family portrait swings away to reveal the wall safe. My fingers shake slightly as I enter Gregory's birthday. Inside lies a lifetime of manipulation, documented with frightening precision. Offshore account statements. Photographs labeled with dates and outcomes, including Martha's hospitalization. A leather journal with names crossed out, including mine, with contingency plans noted beside each. Most damning legal documents showing Margot's strategy to control the family wealth through Gregory, then Tyler. My name appears repeatedly with notes about replacement and temporary situation. I photograph everything with shaking hands, securing copies to multiple cloud accounts. We both know what happens to outsiders who threaten this family, dear Brooke. Margot corners me in the garden while the others set up for afternoon tea. Sunlight catches the pearls at her throat, making them glow like teeth. Accidents happen so easily, she continues, adjusting her gardening gloves. Lauren recovered quickly, thank goodness. Others might not be so fortunate. I stand my ground between manicured rose bushes. I know what was in that salad, Margot. For a split second, panic flashes across her perfect featuresse, a crack in the porcelain mask. Don't be ridiculous. But her voice wavers slightly. Lauren's blood tests came back with interesting results. I let the words hang between us, watching them land like stones in still water. Her eyes narrow, calculating, reassessing. She's used to people cowering, not counterattacking. You poor thing, she recovers smoothly. Pregnancy hormones can make women quite imaginative. My blood freezes. She knows. At midnight, I sit on the bathroom floor, one hand pressed to my stomach, tears streaming down my face. All the evidence spread around me, photos from Margot's safe, Martha's testimony, toxicology, preliminary report, paints a picture so monstrous I can barely comprehend it. The bathroom door opens. Tyler stands frozen in the doorway, staring at the evidence surrounding me. What is all this? His voice cracks. Brooke, your mother tried to poison me. The truth falls from my lips, heavy as lead. The salad that made Lauren sick, it was meant for me. Disbelief crosses his face, followed quickly by denial. That's impossible. She would never. I silently hand him Martha's sworn statement, then the photographs from the safe. His face crumples as he reads, color draining. There must be an explanation. There is. I stand, gathering the papers. Your mother will eliminate anyone who threatens her control, including me. I take his hand and place it on my stomach. His eyes widen in recognition, then horror as the pieces click into place. We need to stop her. Tyler's voice hardens with resolve. Before someone dies. The toxicology report arrives by secure email with a single word highlighted, scopolamine. As Tyler reads over my shoulder, his phone pings with a notification. His face goes white. Someone broke into your office downtown, he whispers. They took your files. His hand trembles as he hands me a torn page from Margot's journal that he found while I was in the bathroom. The yellowed paper reveals a truth that shatters everything. Paternity test results showing Tyler is not Gregory's biological son. We stare at each other in the harsh bathroom light, understanding dawning between us. This isn't just about me or our baby. This is about a decades-long lie that could bring the entire Chesterfield empire crashing down. The district attorney's office smells like old coffee and printer toner. A wall clock ticks behind me as I spread my evidence across the scarred table, samples sealed in bags, photographs, medical reports, and a timeline meticulously documented over sleepless nights. Mrs. Chesterfield, this is. District Attorney Ramirez pauses, thumbing through Lauren's hospital records. This is methodical, premeditated. So is my response. I tap my finger on the toxicology report. Scopolamine doesn't accidentally fall into salad dressing. She nods, her expression grim under the fluorescent lights. You understand we'll need recorded statements. Your mother-in-law is well connected. That's why I came to you instead of the police. I pull out 3 flash drives from my purse. Digital evidence backups. One for you, one in my safety deposit box, one with my attorney. Tyler shifts beside me, his knee brushing mine under the table. The last week aged him. The lines around his mouth deepen when he speaks. My mother has friends in the department. We can't risk this disappearing. The DA studies him. And you're prepared to testify against your own mother? His hand finds mine, squeezes once. I'm prepared to protect my wife and child. That night, Rosa answers her door wearing a faded bathrobe, her eyes darting past me to check for witnesses. You shouldn't be here, she whispers but steps aside. I need your help. I place a small recording device on her kitchen table. Family dinner on Friday. I'll be wearing a wire, but I need someone else to witness whatever happens. She touches the recorder, then pulls back as if burned. 20 years I've worked for them. She would ruin me. She poisoned her own daughter by mistake. I let that sink in. Lauren could have died. Next time it might be Tyler, or you. Rosa's shoulders straighten. Tell me what to do. Tyler paces our bedroom, phone clutched in his hand. She's calling everyone. My college roommate just asked if you were seeing a therapist. What else? I continue typing my statement for the DA, not looking up. Claims you're paranoid. Persecution complex. He sits heavily beside me. Says Lauren's hospital stay was an allergic reaction you're twisting for attention. I save the document, close my laptop. And what about the power of attorney form she tried to get you to sign last week? Was that my imagination too? His face crumples. How did you know about that? Gregory warned me. I take his hand, turning it over to trace the lifeline across his palm. Your father might be weak, but he's not. The phone buzzes between us. Margot's name flashes on the screen. Tyler answers on speaker. Hello, Mother. Darling, such terrible tension between us all. Her voice flows sweet as antifreeze. I've been thinking, why don't you and Brooke come to the lake house this weekend? Just family. Time to heal. Tyler's eyes meet mine. We both know what this means: isolation, no witnesses. That sounds perfect, I say before Tyler can respond. We need to talk, just the 3 of us. After he hangs up, Tyler looks sick. You can't seriously consider. Detective Rivera will be parked down the road. I cup his face. The lake house has excellent acoustics for recording, and you'll be right there with me. She won't let that happen. She'll insist on girl time. Then you insist harder. My voice leaves no room for debate. Your mother wants me alone because she thinks I'm easier to eliminate that way. His face pales. Don't say that. Someone has to. The lake house windows reflect the afternoon sun, turning them into mirrors that hide whatever watches from inside. I carry a small overnight bag up the stone path, Tyler right behind me. 3 recording devices already wait in strategic locations: bathroom, kitchen, living room placed during our drive-by earlier when we'd found the spare key exactly where it's always been. Detective Rivera's confirmation text burns in my pocket. In position. Signal if needed. Margot opens the door wearing a robin's egg blue cardigan, arms outstretched. My dears, Tyler, your father called. Some emergency with the Western accounts. He needs you to call him right away. Tyler doesn't move. It can wait. Her smile tightens. He specifically said it couldn't. Use the office, phone reception is better. When he hesitates, I squeeze his arm. Go ahead, I'll help your mother with tea. The moment he disappears down the hall, something shifts in Margot's posture. The warmth drains from her eyes. Just us girls now. She gestures toward the sunroom. Come, I've prepared something special. The tea service waits on a silver tray, steam rising from a floral pot. She pours with practiced elegance, pushing a cup toward me. Drink. You look exhausted. I take the cup, noting how she watches my hands. Aren't you having any? Oh, I had mine earlier. She settles across from me, smile tight. Going to be good enough for this family, you know. I raise the cup to my lips, but don't drink. Is that why you put something in my salad at dinner that night? The mask slips. Just for a second. Problems arise in families. I handle them. Like you handled Gregory's first fiancé 30 years ago? Her eyes narrow. You've been digging in old dirt and finding bodies. I set down the tea untouched. Did you think I wouldn't notice you've been tracking my medical appointments? That you know about the baby? A cold smile spreads across her face. An unfortunate bloodline to continue. The Chesterfield name deserves better stock. I hear rustling Tyler returning, but Margot doesn't notice. She's too focused on watching me pick up the teacup again. You won't feel much, just sleepy at first. Her voice has the same soothing tone she uses with dinner guests. By the time anyone realizes, it will look like a tragic accident. Poor, unstable Brooke. The front door bursts open. Detective Rivera enters first, followed by 2 officers. Mrs. Chesterfield, Rivera says, I think you'll want to put that teapot down. Margot's face transforms, outrage replacing calculation. What is this? Tyler, call security. But Tyler stands in the doorway, phone in hand, recording everything. They found the plants in your greenhouse, Mother. The ones that match Lauren's toxicology report. This is absurd, a misunderstanding. She turns to me, voice desperate. Brooke, tell them. I place the untouched teacup on the evidence bag an officer holds out. The recorder in the sugar bowl caught everything, Margot. The door opens again. Gregory stands there, shoulders slumped, but eyes clear. I can't protect you anymore, Margot. Behind him, Lauren steps into view, medical records clutched to her chest. Neither can I, Mother. As Detective Rivera recites her rights, Margot's perfectly composed world crumbles, piece by perfect piece. I sit with my back straight as an arrow in the polished oak chair, watching Margot glide into the courtroom. She's crafted her appearance with surgical precision powder blue suit that whispers wronged mother, pearls that murmur family tradition, and eyes brimming with calculated tears. The gallery rustles with whispers as family friends choose sides with meaningful glances and deliberate seating choices. Tyler's hand finds mine under the table. His fingers tremble slightly. All rise, calls the bailiff, and the choreography begins. The prosecutor, Sarah Donovan, approaches the jury box with measured steps. This was not a moment of passion, but a calculated attempt to eliminate a perceived threat. Margot Chesterfield didn't act on impulse. She researched, planned, and executed a poisoning that could have killed her daughter-in-law and unborn grandchild. Margot's attorney, a man whose suit costs more than my first car, rises with a dismissive wave. What we have here is a family misunderstanding blown wildly out of proportion by an outsider desperate to secure her position in a wealthy family. My stomach knots, but I keep my expression neutral. The evidence will speak louder than his rhetoric. When Margot takes the stand for her defense, she transforms. Her shoulders curve forward, making her look smaller, more vulnerable. Her voice quavers just enough to suggest fragility without undermining authority. I've only ever loved my family too much, she says, dabbing at her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Perhaps that made me overprotective, but to suggest I would harm Lauren, me own daughter? The judge's eyes narrow slightly. He's seen this performance before. One by one, character witnesses parade to the stand, praising Margot's charitable works and community leadership. Each testimony feels rehearsed, as if reading from the same invisible script. I recognize several faces from Margot's country club people who owe her favors or fear her influence. During the lunch recess, I find Tyler staring out the courthouse window, his reflection fractured in the glass. She's always been good at this, he says without turning. making herself the victim. I stand beside him, not touching. The truth doesn't need performance. The afternoon brings Margot's final gambit. Her attorney submits motions to suppress the evidence from my purse as illegally obtained. When that fails, Margot claims from the stand that Tyler and I conspired against her to gain control of the family assets. Tyler's face drains of color. Some lies cut deeper than others. Lauren takes the stand next, her hands steady now, but her voice raw with emotion. She describes the hospital stay in clinical detail, the burning sensation in her throat, the muscle tremors, the fear. The doctors said if I'd eaten the entire portion, I might not have survived, she says, looking directly at her mother for the first time. And that was meant for Brooke. Rosa follows, her uniform replaced by a simple navy dress. She speaks softly but clearly about years of accidents that befell people who crossed Margot. The night before, Mrs. Chesterfield asked me to buy cleaning supplies that we didn't need. I found the empty bottle in her private trash the next morning. Rosa's eyes never leave Margot's face. I kept silent because I needed the job. I will carry that shame forever. The toxicologist explains the deliberate nature of the poisoning, how the particular combination required knowledge and intent, not accident. Gregory testifies about decades of controlling behavior, his voice strengthening with each admission. But the courtroom falls completely silent when a woman with silver hair and steady hands takes the stand. My name is Catherine Winters. 30 years ago, I was engaged to Gregory Chesterfield. Her gaze sweeps to Margot. Until I spent 2 weeks in intensive care after having coffee at their home. The moment Tyler rises to testify against his mother, something inside me breaks and mends simultaneously. His testimony isn't vindictive, it's honest, painfully so. He describes a childhood where love came with conditions, where loyalty meant silence. My mother eliminated problems, he says, his voice catching. That's how she described it. And somehow, I never questioned what that really meant. When my turn comes, I speak without emotion, laying out the evidence piece by piece. I answer questions clearly, making eye contact with each juror. When the prosecutor asks about motive, I place my hand on my now visible pregnancy. The doctor has confirmed I'm 5 months pregnant, I say. Margot made it clear that I wasn't worthy of continuing the Chesterfield bloodline. The jury deliberates for only 2 hours. On the charge of attempted aggravated assault with a toxic substance, we find the defendant guilty. Margot's perfect mask slips entirely at the verdict, revealing raw fury that transforms her face into something unrecognizable. For the first time, everyone in the courtroom sees what I've known for years. The judge's sentencing is swift and uncompromising. You betrayed the most sacred trust, that of family. 17 years without possibility of parole. As the bailiff leads Margot away in handcuffs, she maintains her posture, chin lifted, but her eyes find mine with a hatred so pure it burns. Outside on the courthouse steps, Tyler stands firmly beside me at the press conference, his arm around my waist. Lauren approaches, her eyes red-rimmed. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner. I should have believed you. Gregory nods from a distance before walking away alone. I need to make amends in my own way, he'd said earlier. The detective who built the case shakes my hand. In 40 years, I've never seen manipulation like this, he says quietly. We'll be reopening some old cases now. Justice has been served in the courtroom, but as I look at the fractured family around me, I wonder about the emotional scars that remain. Can we rebuild after such betrayal, or should we start fresh elsewhere? Tyler's hand finds mine, strong and certain now. Some answers will have to wait. 6 months after Margot's conviction, I stand in what was once her domain. The dining room now glows with amber light instead of the harsh white Margot preferred. Laughter breaks through the chatter of 20 women gathered for my baby shower. Lauren places a hand-wrapped gift before me. Open this one next. Her eyes, once wary around me, now shine with genuine affection. The chandelier above us remains, but everything else has changed. The dark mahogany panels have been replaced with warm oak. The rigidly arranged furniture now forms conversation clusters that invite people to linger. Tyler hasn't let go of my hand all afternoon. His fingers interlace with mine, a physical reminder of the unbreakable bond forged in fire. "Mrs. Brooke, would you like some more lemonade?" Rosa asks, her voice carrying the confidence of someone who knows her true value. No longer in uniform, but dressed in elegant business casual, she runs the household with the dignity she always deserved. "Thank you, Rosa." I smile at the woman who risked everything to help me. "And please, just Brooke." The path to healing hasn't been simple. Every Tuesday for months, our family has gathered in Dr. Winter's office, speaking truths that hung unspoken for decades. "I never saw it," Tyler confessed in our third session, voice breaking. "She manipulated every relationship I ever had, and I just accepted her version of reality." Lauren has transformed most dramatically. Once Margot's reluctant accomplice, she now studies domestic violence law. "What happened to us has a name," she told me last month. "And I'm going to help other families recognize it before it's too late." Gregory writes from his meditation retreat in Arizona. His letters arrive like clockwork every 2 weeks, attempts at atonement from a man who enabled Margot's reign. The healing continues at our own pace. Some wounds still throb when pressed too hard. Tonight marks a full circle moment. We gather at the same dining table where Margot tried to poison me. The atmosphere couldn't be more different. Candles flicker, wine flows freely, and genuine smiles replace tense politeness. Lauren stands, champagne flute raised. "To the sister who saved my life in more ways than one." Her voice wavers. "Brooke showed me what real family loyalty means." The ultrasound picture of our baby girl passes from hand to hand. A life that nearly ended before it began, now celebrated by those who will protect her fiercely. The Chesterfield family business bears my fingerprints now. The charitable foundation we established helps victims of family violence rebuild their lives. Tyler has drawn clear boundaries with relatives who enabled his mother's behavior. "You get one chance," he told his aunt when she suggested Margot had been treated unfairly. "Choose wisely." Rosa lives in the renovated guest house, close enough to be family yet independent. Her position as household manager came with benefits and respect long overdue. Yesterday, a letter arrived from the Women's Correctional Facility. Margot's handwriting, elegant as ever, filled 3 pages with almost apologies and tactical regret. Not once did she ask directly about her grandchild. "Your choice," Tyler said when I showed him. "We stand together." Our therapist's words echo. Boundaries aren't walls of punishment but fences of protection. My decision brings peace. Some doors need to remain closed for safety. The nursery takes shape in what was once Margot's private study. The garden blooms with herbs and vegetables where poisonous plants once grew. Security cameras remain trust rebuild slowly. At sunset, I stand among the new growth, 7 months pregnant and stronger than I've ever been. Tyler joins me, blueprints for the expanded family foundation in hand. "The family you choose," I whisper as the sun dips behind Chicago's skyline, "is sometimes the family you rebuild."